In this life, we gotta go through some things. We gotta go through some trials. We gotta go through some pain. We gotta go through some storms. We gotta go through some rain. This world can drive you insane, but I thank God for everything. I thank God for my life and the sins He's forgiven. Could never ever forget when I was fretted in prison, when I was down on my luck for making terrible decisions. He had it all worked out. He had a beautiful vision. I thank God every day. Good morning, beautiful people. Word of Rap here coming to you with the word of the day. As we all know, it is so much going on out there in today's world. It's so much chaos going on out there. And, we are truly living in some trying times. And, so many people's lives are being affected by the things that's going on. So, first and foremost, I want to, say this to the believers and those who are actively walking with Christ, that we must remember that there is power in the name of Jesus. There is power in the name of the Lord, and we got to run to God. And with that being said, the word of the day, Proverbs 18:10. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. This verse lets us know that God provides a secure refuge and protection for those who trust and seek Him. And anybody that knows me, once again, I say this often, I love speaking on verses related to trust in God. And the reason why is because everything that's going on out there, we have to trust God. We have to seek God. And we have to, exercise our faith. And, because God has all the answers. God is in control. And, God is our refuge, okay? The name of the Lord is a strong tower. A strong tower symbolizes strength, safety, and security. It's a metaphor for a place of refuge and fortified structure. And this safety is for those who put their faith in God, which is the righteous. So when the righteous, you put your faith in God, God will give you refuge, protection, and God will be a strong tower, okay? And I know a couple of weeks ago I spoke on being still, but now I'm speaking on proactive action of seeking shelter and refuge in God during these times of trouble, okay? We have to run to God, okay? And we have to seek God once again and trust and believe that God will, give us refuge. God will protect us, and God will come through for us, okay? Speaking of Proverbs, one of my favorite verses of all time comes out of this book, Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 7. And I know I spoke on this before. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. He will be your refuge. He will be your protector, but you got to run to God. You got to seek God. You have to trust God. And I want you guys to take this and stand on it and trust and believe that I love you. God loves you more. Word of wrapping our mouth.
Welcome to the All Things Through Christ television show. We're so excited to be visiting with Pastor Anthony A. Dix, owner and founder of the A.A. Dix Funeral Homes of Columbia, South Carolina. How are you this morning?
I am very well, Jerry, and it's good to be here with you and all of those who are in our audience. Hopefully, I can say something that will help somebody today. I've been in funeral service since 1971, August 15th. I guess that's close to about 55 years. But I've also been in the gospel and preaching ministry since 1973, which would be about 53, 54 years. And of course, my background has to do with the fact that I'm from a community where the pastor, the funeral director, and the teacher were great assets to the community. And I met our family funeral director when they handled my grandmother's service when I was like 8, maybe 9 years old. And his mannerisms, his attention to details, his compassion, the way he handled the family as if he were a member of our family, really, really impressed me. And it was then that I made up my mind I would like to be an undertaker, as it was called during that time. And I've been right here with the mindset of trying to guide people through all of the puzzle pieces that are scattered about when a death occurs. What funeral home are we going to choose? When is the funeral going to be? What church or place are we going to have the service? What type of service are we going to have? How are we going to contact relatives and friends or their children that are located out of state? What do we do with his home and other properties? I call what I do guiding people through the afterlife, the
Mm-hmm.
life after the death of a husband, the life after the death of a son, the life after the death of a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a sister. What do we do? Where do we go? How do we handle estate matters? So there are a lot of puzzle pieces and a lot of questions that need to be answered, need to be considered. And certainly we don't have answers to all of them, but we hope to be able to point people in directions where they can find answers to matters. In Jersey, it's important that we understand that funerals do not start and stop with the contact of a funeral home.
Mm-hmm.
It starts sometimes in hospice. Sometimes it starts with a diagnosis that's unfortunate. It does not end when we leave the crematory and present the urn to a family. It doesn't end when we leave the cemetery. There is still things that must be done, estates that must be settled. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. So all of that is what keeps me occupied every day, keeps my mind moving, and hope to be vibrant and vivacious for a long time. And I'm grateful to you and your organization and this form of media for the opportunity to try and let others know what we do. We're delighted to serve the Columbia, South Carolina area and areas around Columbia.
We appreciate your support as well. Thank you for being one of our show sponsors. Now, many years ago, I worked in the death care business, which is
Did
what
you?
we called it. And,
Mhm.
but I worked for a company that was corporate,
Right. Conglomerate.
and
Sure.
they were missing, they were missing that human element
Mhm.
that's necessary for this part of our lives. And
Right.
families were vulnerable, and I felt I was not part of something I could support as an employee, just
Okay.
because they were missing that what was necessary to connect with folks. It was more money driven, and
Mhm. Yeah.
unfortunately there's a lot of places like that. So
Sure, sure.
you
And
know
and when you're in business, you've got to watch out for the revenues. You got to maintain the
Mhm.
expenses. Otherwise, you're not around to do what I do. So I don't want anybody to think that we are not conscious of what it takes to
Mhm.
provide what it is that we seek to provide. But your point is made very clear.
Mhm.
Death is very personal. And it takes a person of compassion, someone, as I said to you earlier, the thing that attracted me to the business was the fact that our family funeral director, when I was 8 years old, made me think upon my first meeting him that he was a part of my family. He
Mhm.
sat down beside us. He embraced us. He talked to us. He ate at our table. It was like he was a part of our family in his first visit to the home. And that's the kind of service that we try to provide. We handle stillborns. We handle people who have great longevity in excess of 105 years old. That's a wide spectrum. And you have to have your heart into people. You've got to be patient. You've got to be understanding, got to be a great listener, And what we try to do here at AA Dick's Funeral Home is to listen, listening to the extent that we hear clearly what is not being said. Sometimes in conversations with people, you hear what they are actually verbalizing, but you can also tell what they are not saying. They are sometimes saying, we don't want this or that or the other. We want to be careful about who's involved. Those kinds of things are things that come about as a result of practicing good listening skills, handling people with courtesy, handling people with manners as one ought to be handled during a very sensitive time. Emotions can get high. People sometimes say things they don't mean to say. Sometimes they're not feeling their best, as you can imagine. So it takes a certain sensitivity. And I believe we have that sensitivity. And that I believe that because we're being told that by persons that we've served, families that we've handled before.
With as many years as you've been doing that, I'm sure families refer you time and time again. And we want the audience through this episode, to learn about planning ahead, because this is
Yes,
a burden on a lot of families when they've maybe just not had the means to think about it ahead of time, or there's something sudden that happens.
sure.
Um, Tomorrow's never promised, and our faith,
Yes.
whether we have faith in God or not,
Yeah.
there is
Well,
going to be an end to our lives at some point.
yes,
So tell us a little bit about planning ahead. What options
sure.
are available for folks? They come and see you and they want to take care
Right.
of their affairs ahead of time.
It begins with a conversation, either by telephone or by email, visiting our website, aadicksfuneralhome.com. You can fill out a pre-arrangement form there, send us that information. We will respond and follow up. But the options are you can develop a funeral trust where monies are put into a trust account kept by the bank and overseen by the South Carolina Consumer Affairs Department, uh, giving the assurance that should something happen to the funeral home or the funeral director, the funds that have been placed in that trust continues to be overseen by the Consumer Affairs Office, the state office here in South Carolina, and a family would be given the opportunity, should something inevitable happen to the funeral home or to the funeral director, that family would have the choice to choose another funeral home who would guarantee that things would be carried out just as the previous funeral home or funeral director had promised. The other thing would be to open a pre-need burial insurance policy designed specifically to cover the amount of the funeral. That is important. And things that I like for families to look out for. Number one, you want to be sure that the funeral home is a licensed pre-need funeral home. And you can find that out by going to the funeral service website, or in South Carolina, it's called LLR, a Labor Licensing and Regulation website. Every funeral home is listed there, and you can find out whether or not they are licensed to do prearrangements. Unfortunately, people have gotten tangled and entangled with operations and firms that were not licensed and lost the resources. So you want to be sure of that first. Integrity is important, particularly when you're talking about the handling of two very, very sensitive matters. We're handling not only the human remains, but we're handling people's money
Mhm.
prior to the actual use of that money, which means that it does not belong to the funeral home. and it doesn't any longer belong to the family or the person who purchased that pre-need service. That's why it's important to understand that if we've got a relative that is in declining health, that has to go to a nursing home, and Medicaid has to step in to offset the cost of the health care. The federal government requires that all assets be transferred 5 years prior to that person being admitted to a nursing home or long-term care facility. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to me 5 years from now. These are things and reasons why you need to start a prearrangement by having a conversation with your family members, sitting down with a son, a daughter, a husband, a wife, a sister, a brother, a mom, a dad. That conversation has to start there because, as you and I have discussed earlier, it's inevitable. We take the proper medications, we go to the doctor, but then we're in a car accident that unfortunately takes our lives. Or we drive well and we're safe drivers, but we're in the shopping areas of our communities and someone is acting up and carries out a violent act and we're caught up in it. There are just so
Right.
many things to think about, and we have to start thinking now. There are few old adages that I think would be appropriate to say. A stitch in time saves nine. It talks about working ahead of time. Um, um, Preparation, being prepared ahead of time relieves much of the stress involved. Oh my God, where's the policy? Where would mother want to be? What colors would she want to wear? Who should participate in the service? And prearrangement also gives the person who is to be honored by the funeral the opportunity to have a say-so in their services. I think that where I go to school, who I marry, and how my funeral is carried out is personal enough for me to have some decision in what's going to happen rather than someone giving me what they think I should have. So
Right.
it gives that person who is being honored the opportunity to say, I don't want flowers at my service. I don't want to be buried on a Saturday. I don't want my hair fixed a particular way. I do not want to be viewed. I all of that needs to take place while we are of a sound mind and can have the discussion. What I run into many times, ladies, gentlemen, is that we live in denial. And we think talking about these things means that my relatives think that I'm about to die. Well, we're all about to die. And
Right.
and we need to begin to face that so that we don't leave relatives and heirs in predicaments that they are frustrated with, sometimes for the rest of their lives. Dying intestate, which means that there is no will. And all of this is a part of preparing for the inevitable before it occurs. Well, I'm married, and if I die, my husband will get what I have. Not the state of South Carolina. You would
Right.
need to have a will so that your possessions would be distributed as you desire for them to be done. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because sometimes people come in and they say, particularly at need, and if you've worked in this industry, you can attest to this. Well, we are going to pay for it by insurance. And then a review of the policy says that the beneficiary predeceased the insured. Now, in some instances, that those resources have to be probated by the probate court. Now, how are
For
we going
months.
to, for months, sometimes
Right.
for years? And there are estate expenses and fees that must be paid. I cannot emphasize the importance of talk about this now while we can. I often tease my friends, if you die, what funeral home would you call? And the answer to that is none, because if you are the one that's passed away, you don't get to make that call. So you
Right.
need to relay to those who might survive you what funeral home, what particulars you want. I don't want to go into a church. I don't want a ceremony. I only want to be cremated. You need to convey those things while you have the ability to avail it. There will be a time when we will be present but cannot hold a conversation. I mean, we look you right in the face, but can't hear a word that you might want to say. So we need to have these conversations as we are having them now. It would take us all week and all month to go through every single detail about prearranging, but you want to prearrange because, number one, it eliminates the stress, gives you, the planner, the peace of mind that things will be handled as you desire for them to be handled. It also helps to maintain a budget that you've already predetermined so that things are not overspent or underspent. That is important. And it also leaves your family with the peace of mind. Well, this is what she wanted us to do. That's important, rather than, I sure hope Mama appreciates what we're trying to do. The time to find out is while we are of a sound mind. And having this conversation does not speed up death.
Celebrate love. Take one. Action.
Let's go. What can I say? I love you more each and every day. Never fade away or go astray. You're my greatest fan. I'm glad to be your man. Thank you, babe, for giving my love a chance.
Can't imagine my life without you, babe. 'Cause you make me feel like the most beautiful girl in the world. The way you touch, kiss, hold, love me, darling. I will never let go. I adore you so.
My eyes and tell me what you see.
I see a man who warms my heart and soul and makes my life complete.
My favorite woman, so amazing. Every little thing I dreamed of. You bring out the best in me. So in love. Oh, oh. Celebrate our love. Celebrate. It's all about sharing the love, baby.
All over the world.
Celebrate our love. Feel love music. Bring it back. Let's celebrate our love. Let's celebrate our love. That's what we're gonna do, yeah. Celebrate our love. All right. Celebrate our love. Celebrate our love. Ooh, yeah.
celebrate, celebrate our love. Gonna celebrate our love. We're gonna celebrate our love.
Tired of old school cable internet slowing you down? Let Tech Savvy Sales and Marketing Group help you make the switch. We are a leading provider of internet, home automation, security, and TV services, offering high-speed solutions tailored to your needs. Thanks to partnerships with top providers like AT&T Fiber, Vivint, Kinetic Windstream, Brightspeed Fiber, and DirecTV, we can connect you with amazing deals. For example, switching from Spectrum Cable to AT&T Fiber can boost your upload speeds by up to 25 times, providing plenty of bandwidth for smart home devices, streaming, gaming, and work. No more lag or slowing down. Our highly trained professionals offer free personal consultations, and unlike other providers, we go above and beyond with direct communication and doorstep visits to find the best solution, tailored to your exact needs. Call us today to schedule your free consultation or visit our website for more information on our services.
In this life, we gotta go through some things. We gotta go through some trials. We gotta go through some pain. We gotta go through some storms. We gotta go through some rain. This world can drive you insane, but I thank God for everything. I thank God for my life. And the sins he's forgiven, could never ever forget. When I was pregnant in prison, when I was down on my luck for making terrible decisions, he had it all worked out. He had a beautiful vision. I thank God every day for this life that I'm living. Being able to make a way to provide for my children. I won't stop till I run up 1 million. And when I run up 1 million, then I'ma run up 1 billion. Don't believe me, just watch. You witnessing the top notch. And I'm gon' shine cause it's my time, like the hands on the clock. As long as God is my rock, number one is my spot. I reinvented myself. Used to be cold, now I'm hot. About my past I forgot, but I could never forget. Cause I don't live there anymore like an evicted tenant. So when you speak on my name, put me up there with the greatest. Cause I ain't gon' stop no matter what. Nothing but love for my haters. In this life, we gotta go through some things. We gotta go through some trials. We gotta go through some pain. We gotta go through some storms. We gotta go through some rain. This world can drive you insane, but I thank God for everything. In this life, we gotta go through some things. We gotta go